chord types I want to show you in this session is we're looking at, we know the major. Okay, the major triad is at 3 notes combined. Okay, and we're going to use C. All right, so we're looking at C major, C, E, and G. Okay, now we're going to turn that major into a minor chord. Okay, so this is another variation of C. So what you want to do is you want to take the 1, 2, 3rd note, okay, take the E and do what they call flat it. And we flat it just by going down a half step. We go in to the sort of the left direction of the keyboard. So we just flat the E. Okay, now I'm in the root position. I don't typically play C in the root just starting off. Okay, so if I had root, first, second, I would be in the second position of C. So it would be G, C, E. Okay, same chord, different position. Now I'm going to flat the E. Okay, and there's my minor. Okay, you can randomly choose a note. If I'm in D, okay, even the root position of D, flat the 3rd. Flat the 3rd, and there you go, there's D minor. Okay, and you could play it in a different position right there. Whoop. Okay, so that's root, first, second. Okay, same rule applies. You just continually try that in the different positions of the notes. So now there's your major, there's your minor. Okay, and let's talk about 2. Why is it a 2? It's basically a 2 because you're using the 2nd note in the scale. All right, and that's what I know it to be. 2 is probably one of my favorite chords because it just makes everything so much softer. And I use 2s all the time, probably more than I use majors at times. So I rely heavily on the 2 chord for a lot of my movements. But you take the 2nd note and just, so now you don't have a 1, 3, and a 5. Now you have a 1, 2, and a 5. Okay, so there's that numerical difference. Okay, that's, you just moving the notes around to create another variation of the chord. Okay, so 1, 3, 5 major, 1 flat 3, 5 minor, and 1, 2, 5 is the 2 chord. Okay, now let's look at a 7 chord, and by the sound of it you think it's kind of bluesy, and really, because it is, it's blues has a lot of 7s in it, just in general. So, but 7s are really cool chords. They have tons of uses, and they have sort of their own flair to them. You're taking the root, if you will, going down a whole step, or you're taking the 7th note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's a flat 7. Okay. All right. Look at it, in a couple different ways. And oftentimes I find when I'm playing, I just remember stuff visually. So even though I don't know it mathematically or, in theory, sometimes it's just something I committed to memory, and it helped me until I was able to, get it more clearly defined, if you will. So basically, flat that 7. Okay, and that becomes a 7 chord. Now that's a C7. Okay, so again, the same rule applies. Any chord variation you're in, it also has an inversion. There you have a C major, minor, 2, have a 7, and here's a big one you're going to use a lot of. I think most songs that we do have this at some point, or you can incorporate it, is called a sus, or a sustain. And basically what you're doing is you're taking 1, 2, 3, 4. You're taking the what would be a major chord, and now you're going 1, 4, 5. Okay? Instead of 1, 3, 5, you're going 1, 4, 5. Once again, that number sequence creates a different chord variation. So to get the idea of a sustained, toggle it back and forth with a major. So go from the 3 to the 4, or the 4 to the 3 rather, and use your pedal. Okay, and you can see that a sustained chord is something that really reminds you of just mood points and how songs are written, and a lot of sustained is used like at the peak of, say, the end of the verse right into the chorus. There's some kind of sustained note, and then boom, it takes you into one of the largest points of the song. So sustain has big use when it comes to that. The next variation I want to show you is a minor 7. Okay, so you'll tend to see this written a couple different ways. The easy way to say is right hand C, and then A octave on the left hand. That is your minor 7. Okay, there's same rule applies, just move it up, different keys. Okay, all right. Okay, all minor 7s, and they make all the difference, so I like to use them a lot. Good substitute chords. Okay, and the last chord I want to look at is the 6th chord. Now if you look at the major scale, D for example, we'll look at the scale of D, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That 6 falls on B, alright? And what's happening here is you've got root, first, second position. Most of the time, probably 99% of the time, I play D in the second position. Now I can add the B in my second position D major. Okay, so there is a pretty big difference now. That's without it, and that's with it. You can hear that tone now very aggressively. And what happens is what I like to do is I play that over the 4. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a D6 chord, and I play it over the 4th note on the low register. Okay, so it sounds like this. Okay, and that's what I like to do is when I toggle back and forth between chords, I have D like major or 2, then I walk up D over F sharp to the D6, and I even learned to add the 5 chord up here. So you actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 5 notes that you're holding. It seems really crazy at first, but it's so worth it to learn it, because what that's doing is, once again, it's creating big worship for you. And you go into that 6th chord. Okay, so it's a little tougher session right now because there's so much to cover when it comes to chords. I mean, we have a lot to talk about anyway, but chords are enormous, and we've only just scratched the surface. So there you have it. It's D6 over the 4, or over G. All right, back to the root. So those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different chord types, 7 chord variations that we have covered. So go back, keep looking at them till you get them down, forwards and backwards, master the variations and the more importantly, all the inversions of those chords. So